The Sadguru started resolving the doubt of the disciple regarding the second fundamental truth of the soul, being soul is eternal, everlasting. So the Guru starts resolving it from verse 62. We finished from verse 62 to 66. And we noticed that the Guruji tried to explain the eternity of the soul, the eternal nature of the soul. So, in two ways up till now. One was the basic question, questioning his logic. Who ever knew the emergence and extinction of the soul? The creation and the destruction of the soul, who is the knower of it? Two substances, body and soul. Body bereft of knowingness, so that option goes. Soul cannot know its own creation and destruction because it has to be prior to the birth and survive the death of the soul. And when you say prior and survive, means you are saying it was before its creation and after its destruction. So what are you saying? The only option being if there is a third agency which notices. But maybe he notices the birth or the creation and destruction of other souls. But what about itself? That question again is there. And whether there is a third agency or not. So there is no third agency. The body cannot, the soul cannot, logically the soul cannot be the knower of its own creation and destruction. So the logic of his doubt was questioned in 62, 63. Then 64, 65 and 66, 3. There is no evidence in saying that the soul was created and destroyed. Okay, if the soul was created, from which material? Kaya combinations, associations. Examine and tell me from which associations of atoms or combinations of things, union of things, the soul is created. Let's talk of creation right now. And there was no answer. Then saying it's not possible, Jadti Chetan Upje, Chetanti Jad Thai, that was not possible. We saw it further. Jadti Jad Upje is also a formality because Jadti Jad Upje ne, it can only change forms, which we call new creation or new production. Then though we could not do it in detail, but Chetanti Chetan. So you said it's because of the union of sperms and ova, and then the egg gets fertilized, and then the embryo, and then it gets developed into fetus, and then finally the baby. So if that is the soul, and if the sperms and ovum also has sperms and ova also has a jeev, so chetan thi chetan upje, one chetan can give birth to another chetan. So that was also refuted, though we didn't go into detail. We'll be taking it in the campfire sessions. But just a question. If soul is created by the union of sperms and ova, why is it not created every time there is an intercourse? Every time. Why sometimes the lady does not conceive? Why does it conceive at some time? Maybe, I don't know, the doctors will explain. So, but don't say anything. It happened. It didn't have to happen. You have to give me a cause, because maybe you don't accept Jainism, maybe, but Jainism has a cause. It has a theory that the soul which has to enter and dwell was not ready. It was not the right time. His karmas was not over. He didn't leave the previous body, whatever reason. And this was the exact time Chaitra Sud Teras birth, say. So you have to say about the conception part. So I don't know, kya hai. So whatever tithi it is, whatever the tithi is, if it was that time, it could not come even 2 days prior to it. That is the Chivan Kalyana. Prabhu comes from the 10th Devlok. And so why not every time? Why not every sperm? You say 100 million sperms. So million to chodi nako, every time there should be a troop of Kauravas. Million to chodi do 100. So there are many questions. You just can't say this is just showing that the body of the new soul is created from the atoms which is right now in the form of sperms and ovum. Sperms and ova. So we need to study this, understand it in a much better way, but na jadti jad upje, na chetanti chetan upje. So first of all, upje and nash is something just change in forms. And so that was also made clear. And what is not created? Because what is not created out of a combination or association. So there is no process of disintegration. And so there is no reason for the substance to get destroyed, because it is a natural substance. When you say an indivisible part of atom, say Parmanu, subatomic particle, so you'll say, what is it made up of? That indivisible part of atom called subatomic particle or called Parmanu, Anu Parmanu. So, what combination has created this Paramanu? So you will say it's a natural substance now. It's Jad maybe. Maybe means it is a Jad substance, but it is a natural Jad substance. Nobody has created that Jad substance. So then there is no destruction, because there is no disintegration. So substance is undying, unending, and soul being a substance, rather a conscious substance, it is also undying and unending. Because it is uncreated, now it is undying. In 66 we didn't talk about creation, we talked about destruction, nash. So in two ways, questioning the logic, questioning the evidence or experience, it was almost resolved, the first doubt. But let's see what happens in 67. And in 68, the Guru starts resolving the second doubt. By deeply contemplating upon the Guru's solution regarding the eternal nature of the soul, the disciple feels that his argument was baseless. He's already started feeling that. In this verse, that is verse 67, to strengthen the faith of the Guru proves the eternal nature of the soul through inference. So what is he actually going to do? Giving an authentic evidence to prove the soul is not created and destroyed with the creation and destruction of the body. Creation and destruction of the body is there, because it's a form. You are not creating a jad substance. In fact, it's a combination of so many jad substances. દેહ માત્ર સંયોગ છે. દેહ તો કેટલા બધા different types of, say 5 different types of atoms નો સંયોગ છે. Which are the 5 different types? બસ. So you cannot say actually created, but this form, body is a form, so that form was created. Right? So with the creation of the body, the soul is not created, and with the destruction of the body, the soul is not destroyed. For that he gives an authentic evidence. But that evidence is on inference. So we'll be seeing.
क्रोधादितरतं यथा सर्पादिकनीमान् पूर्वजन्मसंस्कारते जीवनित्यतात्यान्.
So krodhadi, krodh, adi, etc. So anger, etc. Tartamyata. So what is tartamyata actually? Ochu vattu, more or less. So you see the tendency of, say, anger. It's anger, etc. So I'm just taking anger. You have to take many as you can take tendencies. So let's take anger. So do you feel one of your siblings, their instinct of anger is very high? નાની ચીજમાં ત્રિશુલ આવી જાય અહીંયા. And one of your siblings or one of your friend, એકદમ શાંત, ગમે તે થાય, how much ever you insult that person, anything, but still laughing. Do you see this variation in the tendencies of, say, anger, greed, take positive also, generosity? You see, suddenly કોઈ અહીંયા ઘી બોલી થતી હોય તો one of the say sibling or one of the friend, he wants to take the boli. That's a શાંતિ રાખ. પેલા લેશે તો આપણે લાભ મળવાનો જ છે. So some get these types of thoughts, some get these thoughts. So do you see a difference in the variation of the tendencies like anger, etc.? So krodhadi tartamyata, variation in the tendencies of anger. But tartamyata mate, tartam. એ લોકોને સમજાવો ને તર ને તમ કેમ છે? Those 3 super comparative super. Ask them only. Ask Shibani.
Shibani, degree સમજાવવા માટે what are the 3 types in English?
Like I will tell you. I'll give you one example, then you can carry on. Good, better, best. Good, but when you have to compare between 2, you will use he is better than this. And if it's superlative, then you will say best. So good, and any better, best. બીજું example. એ તો બહુ easy હતું. બીજું anyone? We have learned this in 2nd standard in India. બોલો. low, lower, lowest. હવે ગુજરાતીમાં કઈ કે?
સો ગુજરાતીમાં જેમ આમાં EST લાગે ને ઓલામાં ER લાગે જનરલી, એવી રીતે
comparative ER લાગે, lower, right? Lower. Okay? And in the superlative it is EST, lowest, right? So in Gujarati, for that comparative you use tar, and for the superlative you use tam. Give them an example.
So શ્રેષ્ઠતર અને શ્રેષ્ઠતમ.
So શ્રેષ્ઠ is good. So gooder, better માટે. So એના માટે we say શ્રેષ્ઠતર. And for the best we will write શ્રેષ્ઠતમ. So those tar and tam, and ematiya tartamyata. So tartam, more or less. I think you understood it very easy, very, very easy, very good. The Mochar audience. So krodhadi tartamyata, the tendencies of anger, etc., and enuj variation. Sarpa diknigmai. Sarp means snake. And sarpa dik, adik, etc. You should know what etc. means. Scorpions. Scorpions. So first time we went to Phoenix in 2005. So that was, I think, this maybe third last place in that trip. Huh? We started with New York, then New Jersey, then we went to Austin, Houston, Austin, and then we went to LA, then San Francisco, Magina, Santa Clara, then from Grand Canyon, Vegas, of course. And we went to Phoenix, and then it was Chicago and back to New York. 2005. And Toronto, it's not in US. So, because 2003, I stayed there for some 21 or 28 days. So in 2005, I gave them only 3 days. And they don't count it only. 3 days they don't count. So this was the third last place. So we knew 3 families of Phoenix that time. Only 3 families. Gosalias and you people and Ushma, Babisi, and that's only 3 families. So it was 3 days, one day I had to stay at everyone's place, and everything was very beautifully planned. And we entered the house in Phoenix, Mesa. So, and we enter and whatever they had to do, and then they start the scorpion story. Arizona, basically desert, and એમાં Phoenix, and એમાં એ લોકોની જે જગ્યા છે કે એટલા scorpions નિકલે, and scorpions have a tendency to bite. Whether you do anything to them, you are not even harming. You are sleeping, they just by chance they just touch you. But the tendency of anger is so high that it starts biting. એટલું બધું એ લોકોએ સ્ટોરી કીધી, and then કે બાપા this is your room. So it was પિયુષભાઈ વર્ષાબેન's room, and I think આપણે 4 જણ હતા એમાં. It was me, Amit Gala, Amit Sheth, and I think one more. And you know Amit Sheth, he has a high degree of fear. જેમ પેલાના high degree of anger, તેમ આને કે બાપા આપણે બધા સાથે નહીં સૂઈ જઈએ. બિકોઝ એ લોકો એટલું ડિટેલમાં અમને કીધેલું કે ગમે ત્યાંથી સ્કોર્પિયન આવી જાય, પછી બોટલ ઉલટી રાખવાની, એ સ્કોર્પિયન બોટલમાં જાય, પછી બહાર જઈને મૂકી આવવાનું. આપણે જે પેલા વર્ષો પહેલાં ગામડામાં કરતા ને એવું. અને એને તો એ કરે તો વિધિન સમ ટાઈમ તમારા રામ રમી જાય. વોટ ઇઝ ધ મિનિંગ ઓફ રામ રમી જાય? યુ ડાય. એન્ડ એટલો એ ગભરાય તો એને એકચ્યુઅલી પાર્ટી પાડી હતી. 2 કલાક આને જાગવાનું, 3 જણાએ સૂઈ જવાનું. મેં કીધું આઈ કાન્ટ વોલેન્ટિયર બિકોઝ મારું નેક્સ્ટ ડે બહુ હેવી પ્રોગ્રામ છે. તો કે બાપા તમે સૂઈ જાઓ, પણ અમે એટલો બધો. સો યુ સી દેટ. નાઉ વોટ ડુ યુ થિંક? અરવિંદભાઈ અને મીનાબેન મસ્ટ હેવ ટોટ ધેમ હાઉ ટુ બી ફિયરફુલ. વોટ ડુ યુ થિંક? અમિત શેઠને. And then Amit Shetne સ્કેર થવાનું બતાવ્યું તો આશીષને કેમ ટ્રેનિંગ ના આપી? Same house, same parents, same upbringing, everything same. So there is, over here it is written, there is a variation in the tendencies of anger, greed, fear, generosity, બંનેમાં etc. છે. ક્રોધાદિક, and then he is giving example. સર્પાદિક. You can say sarp, you can say scorpions, you can say dogs, you can say Kathiawadi's. So tendencies of anger, etc., sarpadik nema are found in snakes, etc. Why? Purva janma sanskarate, due to the orientation of past lives. What does this prove? Jiva nityatatai. This prove, for this reason also the soul is eternal. Why? Because if you believe in the previous birth, you are saying that soul existed before this birth. So in the same way, soul will exist after this birth. So this will prove the eternity of the soul. So this is what is said in this. Sorry. There is a burst of anger and other passions in snakes, etc., from their very birth. One is you take a training, you are trained into, but this is from birth. This is due to the tendencies acquired by them from previous births. This proves the eternity of the soul. What is the Guruji up to? Guruji is taking another angle to the ongoing debate. The debate regarding the eternity of the soul is going on, and suddenly comes up with a marvelous point, I would say. The angle changes, the questioning of the logic is gone, the questioning of the evidence is gone. Now he gives an evidence. So I'm saying a different angle. What is he doing? He points out at the genesis of human behavior. Now what is this genesis? So if we ask Nemiji, he will say it's a chapter in the Bible. But that's not what I mean. Genesis means origin. Origin of the behavior. So I have studied that a little bit in psychology, a little bit in sociology. Why is the society, why are the people in India having this type of temperament? Or why are the people in Gujarat having such a temperament? So weather is one condition. Many. And we study sociology, we study the society. Then psychology, we study the mind and its responses. Then we study behaviorism. So this was the behavior. So what was going in his mind? Why was that going in his mind? And we try to trace. So that is a study basically, psychology, sociology and all. So I was a student of sociology and we had a little bit of psychology, one paper on psychology, not the whole thing. So it was wonderful. So science will say that the child's habits, behavior, attitude are genetically acquired. Genetics. So if you want to understand it, you need to trace it to the child's parents or even the grandparents. Like both my parents didn't have diabetes. Means my mother doesn't have diabetes, my father didn't have diabetes. And still, 15 years back, or 16 years back, I was detected. So I said, "Arey, family ma koi ne to chhe nahi diabetes, and mane kem avyo?" So the doctor said, maybe your grandparents had. Your parents did. And grandparents means, those days, ava bada test kya aata? In fact, the Gujus try their best not to get detected. Check kariye to pachi badhu palu pade, because those times we never used to get sugar-free stuff. So once you are detected with diabetes means you live a miserable life. Miserable life means badhu જ બંધ. હવે you get ice cream sugar-free, you get chocolate sugar-free, you get cakes sugar-free, you get sugar-free. But years back to means imagine ચા કેવી બદલાઈ જશે, દાળ કેવી બદલાઈ જશે. See, jaggery is also sugar and khadi sakar is pure sugar. Whole year my sugars were normal. Suddenly 2 days back it shot up. મેં કીધું ચાલો આખા દિવસમાં આઈ સે કે જોવા દે મેં કંઈ ખાધું છે અને એટલું બધું વધી ગયું કે કાર્બ્સના કારણે હોય એવું મને લાગ્યું નહીં. એન્ડ આઈ એકચ્યુઅલી ડિડન્ટ હેવ એનીથિંગ. સો સમવન મસ્ટ હેવ ગિવન ઠંડાઈ અને ઉપર લખ્યું હતું સુગર ફ્રી. સો આઈ had it the previous. Now there can be garbage only in this ઠંડાઈ, otherwise I have not had anything today. અને પછી પૂછ્યું તો કે હા સુગર ફ્રી છે, ખડી સાકરનો પાવડર નાખ્યો છે. ખડી સાકર નાખી એના કરતાં પેલું ગ્લુકોઝનું પેકેટ લાવવું હતું, ગ્લુકોઝ પાવડરનું, અને એ નાખી દેવું હતું. કારણ કે એટલું ઇટ શોર્ટ અપ કે તે જ દિવસે ડૉક્ટરે કીધું યુ કાન્ટ ટેક ધ વેક્સિન ઓન સન્ડે. પછી તો ઇટ ઇઝ because of several reasons maybe. But and now today everything is normal. So what am I saying? Okay, you can trace it to your parents, sometimes grandparents. આટલો ગુસ્સો કેમ છે, આટલી વાસના કેમ છે, આટલી generosity કેવી રીતે. Like if you want to trace the generosity of Kokanis, so you will say it's all because of, huh? Oh, I thought Kripalu there. He's right. Because of Jagdish wise genes જ એને આવ્યા છે. એ લોકોને પહેલું જ આ સૂચે કે હાઉ ટુ બી જેનરસ. ડોન્ટ થિંક કેટલા લોકો કવાર મિસયુઝ બી કરતા હશે એ લોકો એમની જેનરોસિટીને. જસ્ટ લેમેન્ટિંગ અ લિટલ બિટ એન્ડ હી ફીલ્સ લાઈક ગિવિંગ એવરીથિંગ. થોડું રોદના ગાય એટલે કે તમને કાંઈ જરૂર હોય તો લઈ જજો અમારી પાસે. They would not even want to check. If you have said that you have a problem, that's it. કેટલાક લોકો એવા હોય કે આપવાની વૃત્તિ છે પણ આઈ ચેક, આઈ ડોન્ટ વોન્ટ ટુ બીકમ અ ફૂલ. અને ચેક કરે અને આપવાનું હોય તો આપ. કેટલાને થાય કે જો એમ બધાને આપતા ફરશું ને તો એક દિવસ આપને લેવાનો ટાઈમ આવી જશે. સો હું પ્રાર્થના કરીશ તમારું સારું થઈ જાય એને માટે, બટ આઈ હેવ નો ઇન્ટેન્શન ટુ ગિવ. So these are the different tendencies. So science will say that if one, Jyotika, tu kevi છો? Genetics par jaiye hame, so then it's wonderful, wonderful. So this is the explanation of science. That whatever you see in the child, you are also a child, right? Of your parents. Child તો કહેવાય જ, એને છોટી જ લાગે છે હજી. So your attitude, your behavior, your feelings, you can trace it. ફેસ પરથી તો આપણે તરત કહીએ કે મમ્મી જેવી છે, પપ્પા જેવા છે, તરત. પણ નેચર ઓલ્સો. એન્ડ યુ ટ્રેસ ઇટ ટુ યોર પેરેન્ટ્સ ઓર યોર ગ્રાન્ડ પેરેન્ટ્સ. સો ઇફ યુ નો ધીસ સાયન્સ, થોડું થોડું તો તમે પ્રિડિક્ટ કરો કે આનું ફેસ આના બાપ જેવો છે એટલે આગળ જઈને બાપના ટ્રેટ્સ આવશે. આનું ફેસ માં જેવું છે તો માં જેવું થોડું થોડું આવશે. આઈ એમ નોટ સેઇંગ યુ કાન્ટ ચેન્જ. સત્સંગ એન્ડ સેલ્ફ એફર્ટ્સ કેન ચેન્જ એનીથિંગ. That is very correct. So science is saying that you need to, it is all genetically acquired, so you need to trace it to your parents or your grandparents. But spirituality says there is a far deeper root for these traits. And you can go back for these traits, for this attitude, for these characteristics in the person. It is because of the result of past lives. That is what religion says. It may be karmas, it may be tendencies, it may be sanskars, but what you are right now has fallouts of your past. Meaning, result of the past. Somewhere the variations are seen as a cause, and the cause is in the past, in your sanskars, in your karmas. I won't be touching karmas today because that will come in the third part. So we'll just talk about the tendencies or the sanskars or the impressions. So this is exactly explained in this verse. Let's turn towards the verse. So as it was said in the introduction of this verse, The Guru is going to prove the everlastingness of the soul by means of inference. So, what is inference? What do you say? I infer. Is something like assumption, is something more emotive. And it can be in the dark. For inference, you have to follow logic. A logical sequence, which includes evidences also. So, what is infer? So, you should be very clear when you use the word infer and when you use the word assume. So, I say, I assume this. Assume may not have any premises. You say, why did you assume this way? Bas mane will argue. But in inference, you cannot say, you can't be emotive. You have to produce evidences and a proper logical sequence. So, inference is a means to right knowledge, and that is called pramana in Nyaya. For right knowledge, you need to have pramana, valid source of knowledge. Praman meaning valid source of knowledge. And there are many valid sources of knowledge, one being experience, sense experience or direct experience, but experience. It is called Anubhav Pramana. That means of knowledge is called Anubhav. May Anubhav you it is very smooth. That's it. Through the sensation of touch. Or may Anubhav you Atma. It was my direct experience. Whatever. So Anubhav Praman. Then there is the Anuman Praman, which is this inference. Anuman Praman. You infer. You conclude about something. You know something by, you know the unknown by knowing the known. This was what was taught to us. You know the unknown by knowing the known. You see fire, you see smoke, you infer there has to be fire present there because smoke cannot be without fire. Fire can be there without smoke, but smoke cannot be there without fire. This is a universal accepted proposition. And so you see only smoke and you infer that there is fire. This is called inference. I'm not going to go in detail. But this method is used in this verse, inference, not direct. So there is Anubhav Pramana, there is Anuman Pramana, there is Agam Pramana, testimony, scriptures, authentic, authoritative. There is Upaman Praman, there is Arthapatti Praman. There are many, many different types of praman, and I don't need to give a lecture on pramans. We are using the second one, inference. All in the previous verses, we were talking about Anubhav Praman. Tell me if any combinations can create soul. Show me. Tell me. Explain. So that was Anubhav Praman. So in Anubhav Praman, you have not got any combination which can create a soul. Now we are turning to the second Praman. Just see how much knowledge of Nyaya, meaning logic, is woven into the verses and we never realized it. But no place for emotions. Right now he's not saying, I'm your guru, so don't argue with me. No emotions. He wants a fair debate, discussion. So, inference, so what is seen and what is inferred? The different tendencies from birth is seen. And what is inferred? Previous births. And because of previous births, the everlastingness of the soul. Because that is our subject matter, not previous birth and rebirth and transmigration of the soul. That is not our subject right now. Our subject is soul is not temporary, it is eternal. So finally we need to prove this. But what is seen? Smoke. Tendencies from birth, without any training, without any practice. if you start dancing from the cradle, say, Kathak or બીજું શું હોય Bharatnatyam એનો, so we will infer in previous birth you must be a dancer and you must have died dancing. In the womb also you must have danced, but we don't know. Mother knows. And now we can see. So seen what? What is the smoke here? The tendencies. Anger, banger, anything. Tendencies. And what do you infer? That proves that it existed the soul existed before the birth, so say past lives or whatever. And therefore we conclude that the soul is not created with the body and destroyed with the body, which was the contention in the disciples' argument. It is created and destroyed along with the body. It was there before the body was created. And so the everlastingness of the soul. So this is what is going to be explained in this. And now I'll start explaining, which now more or less you have understood. Right? So, inferring from this to this. Okay. So it is noticed, the Guruji says, it is noticed that the instinct of anger, etc., let's take only anger right now to understand. Instinct of anger is present in a great degree. એમ તો anger બધામાં છે, but to a great degree in snakes, scorpions also, right? They don't have that analyzing system only. Okay, that person is sleeping, he's not even hurting me or harming me, then why do I need to bite? Why do I need to bite? The person is sleeping. એટલે એવું ઇમ્પલ્સિવ રિએક્શન્સ જેને હોય તો કે આ ચોક્કસ કોઈ ભવમાં સાપ ને સ્કોર્પિયન હશે, હી ઇઝ નોટ ઇવન થિંકિંગ વેધર ઇટ ઇઝ રાઇટ, વેધર ઇટ ઇઝ રોંગ, જસ્ટ બિકોઝ he does not like it, he will react. So this reacting tendency આનામાં વધારે છે. So we can infer what type of a past life he must have lived. Just see others want to yet investigate. Some want to just forget it. Like this is the only thing which irritates me in Amit Sheth. Anything, any છોકરીઓને આમ લાગી જાય. Someone makes fun of him. So, in the lockdown only, his weight was around 98 point something. So we were making fun of him. કે શેઠ હવે સેન્ચુરી કરી દે. હવે થોડા માટે ક્યાં એકવાર 100 કરી લે પછી વિલ ગો ઓન અ ડાયટ પ્રોગ્રામ, પણ એકવાર 100 કરી લે, જીવનમાં એ બી કંઈ બધા નથી કરી શકતા હવે. So we were making fun of him in VIP, and suddenly I hear Bathu crying and telling his father, I'm going to kill everyone who was making fun of you. And such a reaction was not there in Nano. So both are his daughters, saga daughter છો, right? બંને both. અને પેલી તો કેવી ટેણિયા જેવી છે કે એને શું સમજ બી પડે. Sheth didn't mind and he was laughing. Let's assume she was sad and she was angry. So some tendencies of the past life is present in there. Same situation. Rather, we were telling him, we were making fun of him, not these two. And she got so impulsive and she said, I'm going to kill each and every person who was making fun of him. પછી મેં એને બોલાવી, પછી અમારું આખું એક ઉપદેશ સેશન સ્ટાર્ટ થયું, પછી જઈને માફી બી માંગી આવી બધાની. અને પછી after 2 days she's writing me a card, so of course sorry Bori, કે બાપા please make me like my father. He could laugh out everything. And why am I holding on to everything? એમ કે હજી કોક વખત મને યાદ આવી જાય. Imagine. And if you ask Amit Sheth, ક્યારે થયેલું આવું? So we know that somewhere his past must have been much glorious, less reactive. Right? All this is inference. I'm not saying you are possessing Keval Nan or clairvoyance or Avdignan, so you know his past lives and all, but just out of inference, which is Matignan, normal Matignan, you can infer કે આટલું બધું direct insult થાય તો પણ he can laugh out. અને આનું તો કાંઈ ન હોય તો પણ So there is a tendency of great degree tendency of anger. So one example is given in the verse only of anger, krodh in sarp, snakes. So snakes, scorpions and such type of animals we see. Similarly, how did the dog know it had to bark and not roar? Char sangnas the scriptures speak of: ahar, bhay, maithun, parigrah. Sexual instincts. Who taught the dogs? Did they see anything? Did they read anything? Were there in a different type of friend circle who taught them anything? Then how did you know how to the process of procreation and everything? How did they know? Same with food. Ahar, bhay, fear, possession, te badu. So these sangnas, without teaching, every living creature has, which shows, and it's different, showing they had a different past. Are you understanding this? It is very interesting. So this one thing makes us feel that everything, of course science will say genetically, but so I will question that thing later if I have time. Not a campfire just say. So I hope campfire occurs, because so many questions are left. People have already started bargaining. If we don't get these satsangs, it's okay, but Bapa, please send us the campfire sessions. Bargain start thayu. I can send both. If my youth don't become conscious and all because of the recording and all, then I'll send it to everyone. And if they feel no, it's better that we can talk in an informal setting, then I won't send. આમ બી એ લોકો પૂરું નથી કરી શકતા, આટલું જ પૂરું નથી કરી શકતા. So they are not as fortunate as us, So these type of tendencies, number one, not learnt in this birth, because seen from birth. They have not practiced in this birth. They have not learned to be, rude, or એવી કોઈ training નથી આપી. So first question, not practiced, not learnt in this birth, because these signs are seen at birth, say, yeah. And second, no incident has occurred with that creature, because Sarpadik says, so I'm not saying person, I'm saying creature. No outward incident has occurred in this birth. But we see that tendency of holding on, not letting things go, and all this we can see, but nothing has happened in this birth, or nothing is taught in this birth. Two things, not taught, and not taught means not practiced, and not occurred, not happened. And still the instincts are of a great degree. What does that signify, and what do we infer from this? Guruji is asking, what does this signify? Some things which need lot of practice for the tendency to develop has been developed at birth, or say from birth. So the soul has practiced it, but not seen in this birth. Therefore, the soul has practiced it in some birth. So what is this some birth? It means same soul, different body. Soul is same, but the body is different. And this proves that the soul existed even before the creation of this body. In another body. And what? It was practiced in that birth. Then the soul migrated, meaning left that body and entered another body, dwelling in another body and showing those tendencies. So what you are, I said, is a result, is the fallout of the past. So much. I'm not saying it cannot be erased. Everything is possible with satsang and purusharth, self-effort, swapurusharth. But if no purusharth is done, your soul will be showing those tendencies, showing it was practiced in the previous births. So you can determine that if it was practiced in the previous life, previous body, I would say, previous body was left, but the impressions were carried forward, entering this new body and start showing, because for the soul, the journey has just continued. For the soul, nothing has happened. ते वक्ते छोटा body था, so the whole anger was expressed in that way, and slim body था, snake, slim body, long and slim. હવે થોડું જાડું body છે, human body છે, but what is the difference in the journey of the soul? It was picking up, reacting, picking up, reacting, and same thing it continues here. And कोई न कोई incident बने, कोई न कोई something becomes instrumental, and the tendencies are activated, aggravated, and it comes in the form of a behavior. So when you say कि आ तो psycho लागे छे, why is suddenly so angry? But you can trace it either, science will say trace it to the parents and grandparents, and spirituality will say trace it to past lives. It doesn't mean you are a bad soul, it means you had a bad past. And if you don't do anything, bad future. But if you start introspecting, understanding yourself better, not blaming, etc., etc., if the right effort is put, then you can change your future. Very simple. So it can be determined that if this is practiced in the different body, before this body, so previous body, so and the soul picked it up, packed it, carried forward, opened, unpacked it, and reacted. It shows that soul existed before the body, and so we can even establish that soul will exist after this body. So the whole process of birth, living with it, dying, rebirth. Living with it, તમારે બોલવું પડશે, because you should get that bhave khed. So you are born, live with it, die, reborn, live with it, die. 100 times karo. Continue. And every time you say reborn, you do your job. Every time you say reborn, you have to see different body of yours. Lizard, female body, human, snake, machhar. Are you tired? Are you tired? I think 2 days back, or say 30 to 35 minutes, I was staring at the lizard. So if I say I don't have time, I am a liar. If I say I have lot of time, again I am a liar. I am very clear. Where I want to give time, I will give. Otherwise, I have no time for useless people. 35 minutes because Nemi was sick and I had to be with him. Maulik had to go for his seva. So I said, I'm sitting with him and I'll see if he needs to be nursed and all. So he was sleeping. And just on top of his, the ceiling, exactly above his head, there was a lizard. So I have read all that Shukan Shastra and all, when I was 19 years of age, and a lizard pade tamaro par, so what does it, all I know how to predict so many stuff, so I was continuously staring at the lizard, kya kehna matha par na pade. Of course, they have a good grip, they won't just fall that way. They are reptiles, right? So, 35 minutes I was staring. Just because of the concern for Nemiji. And I saw in that 35 minutes the lizard didn't do anything. It was stationary, just a false lizard. It didn't even move a centimeter. Only that sticky tongue comes out and koi bhi jivat, machhar ho, then khechi le, and nothing else. 35 minutes. And I was staring at the jaw, at the upper part of the body of the lizard. And I said, Bhagwan, bachavi lejo mne. I don't want to be born as a lizard at all, ever. આખી જિંદગી કરે છે શું એ ધરમપુરમાં છે, બાપાની રૂમમાં છે. Now that is so precious. Neil is saying precious, and I know why. But I allowed you more because of my guilt than love. And now because of love. But because of that 54 days of your quarantine, I was in so much guilt. I said, લઈ લે તું મારું રૂમ લઈ લે, અને એ ન જોઈતું હોય તો રૂમની સેવા લઈ લે, but be happy. Stay happy. As if it was because of me that you were going. Actually, it was because of your karmas, but I just forgot that. So 35 minutes I'm staring and I'm seeing what are they. Pachi fish, what do they do whole life? આમથી આમ aquarium હોય કે પેલું fish tank હોય, આમથી આમ તમે ટિકિટ લઈને જોવા જાઓ. But what does a fish do? Nothing. But what are you doing? At least you know, right? Not to be impulsive. વિવેક રાખવાનું, આ ખાવું કે ન ખાવું, આ કરવું કે ન કરવું. You have that discriminating knowledge. And still are you exercising that decretion? So what have you been doing? આ જોઈને એમ થાય કે અરે એવો કોઈ ભાવ મને ન થઈ જાય કે આવી કોઈ ગતિમાં જવું પડે. Though I am reactive, though I am impulsive, at least I need to check myself. થઈ જાય તો I need to ask for ક્ષમા, because till then compound interest ચાલુ હોય. Nothing. If you take 3 births, so 3 births no interest ભરવું પડશે. And with one asking for forgiveness, the accounts get closed. But when Krodh remains in a subtle form, you would just not want to ask for forgiveness. Because your ego says that I am not wrong, why should I ask? હું કહું કે એકવાર ભલે ને તું રાઈટ હોય પણ માફી માંગી લે ને, કોઈ વાર આ લિઝર્ડ તો ના બને તું. એટલો ભવનો ખેદ તો રાખ. એટલો ડરપોક રે, તું ડરપોક નથી એ જ બતાડે જ કે હજી તો અનંત સંસાર છે. You need to be fearful. One wrong gati like a lizard and you think you will then next birth go into satsang and start Sat Shastra and Abhyas and everything. Nothing. Now you will take millions and millions of years to come back to where you were already there. Right? So here it only means, therefore we can establish that if there is a previous birth and if there is a rebirth, it means the soul is not only from the creation of the body to the destruction of this body, it exists. And so, eternal. Now there are people who refuse to believe in previous births. Existence madna mane to previous birth. No. But there are so many religions which believe in the existence of soul. But they say it's only this birth. And then straight day of judgment. But they don't believe in Purva Janam, Punha Janam, previous life and next life. They don't believe in that. So we observe there are living beings with different forms, with different shapes, with different attitudes, undergoing different intensities of joy and sorrow. कोई बहुत खुश दिखाए, कोई बहुत दुखी दिखाए, कोई थोड़ो दुखी दिखाए. Do we see these diversities or not? And is it possible that all these differences, variations occur without a cause? Jainism says it is because of the karmas and tendencies or sanskars or impressions of the past lives. Science would state that these physical variations or say emotional variations are due to the parental genes. But then how would you account for the differences prevailing in the same members of the family? Same parents, same genes. So let's take an example of twins only. Same mother, conceived at the same time, birth at the same time, mother is same, upbringing is same, and surrounding is same. Lakhi do panch cheez. Conceived at the same time, born. Akhu sentence lakhwani no, conceived bas. Conceived, born, mother is same, upbringing, environment or say surroundings same. એકને બોર્ડિંગમાં મૂક્યો છે ને એકને એના હૃદય પાસે રાખ્યો એમ નથી. સેમ સ્કૂલ, સેમ ડ્રેસ, સેમ ફૂડ, સેમ બિહેવિયર, સેમ upbringing, both were taught the same. And still they display such diversity. Siblings or twins, whatever you want to take. Siblings એટલે માનસી શિબાની સમજો. And twins. Are twins with them? So twins. And they display diversities. Some from birth you will see they are greedy. Childhood કહું છું એટલે chocolates માટે ચાલ. So how much ever chocolates you give, they yet feel they want more. And in some you see traits of generosity. રાહુલને કંઈ યાદ આવતું હશે? કંઈ યાદ આવતું નથી? આપણા બે વચ્ચે કંઈ યાદ નથી આવતું? Same mother, same upbringing, same everything same. Then why he was called Shaitan and I was called Sadhu? When we were small, so હું મારા નાસ્તાનો ડબ્બો લગભગ ફ્રેન્ડ્સ સાથે શેર કરીને એક આટલો પીસ જ સપ્પડી ને બધું આપતી મમ્મી. તો આઈ વુડ હેવ સો મચ એન્ડ આઈ વુડ શેર. એન્ડ હી ચાલુ ક્લાસમાં ઇન નર્સરી, કોલેજમાં તો બધા જ કરે આવું. In nursery, when the teacher is, teaching or he would bend down, go to someone else's school bag, remove his snacks box, go under the table, finish it, pack the box, put it there. I have seen my mother cry. Rahul, tane ketlu joy is. Once she gave him 3 snacks boxes and different snacks in all 3. Still the same thing continued. So she would shiver. Jare એનો report card ને parents day આવે, she would shiver. Now he's a changed person. Now you don't need to check your purses and all. Any type of tendencies can be changed by satsang and self-worth. But the question is why? A mother would not be partial when it comes to kids. Kids always feel mother is partial, but mother is never partial. So why two different? One is innocent, one is not innocent, one is manipulative, and one is like a happy-go-lucky, one is so methodical. Why? Same training, same parents, same house, same school, same everything same. Why this display of diversities? So everything should have a reason. Nothing can happen without a cause. And Jainism says this is because of the phenomena of past life. That soul must have indulged in that type of feelings or activities in the past, and it's deeply ingrained. And so this. So why do mothers feel so guilty when they see both their siblings growing differently? Why? Because they don't believe in Bhagwan. Yeah, because every soul has a past. You have given the best, but you can't be the doer. આ માટલાઓ નથી કે બધા સેમ માટલા નીકળે બહાર. They have their own tendencies, they have their own orientation, they have their own past, and you have to just be instrumental in them. And if you feel they need a transformation, so lovingly help them out. Don't regret, don't worry, don't cry out, don't go on questioning, don't go on doubting yourself. Just help them out, that's it. But this display of diversities does not mean that person loves you more and that person does not love you more. It's not like that. It is the strong tendency of the past. If it might be the kid, the child himself, herself is also suffering. It can be enjoying also, but it can be suffering. So help, love, understanding. Instead of reacting. Being sad is also a reaction. Not telling anything but just remaining depressed is a higher form of reaction. Don't feel only scolding and screaming is a reaction. One is Artha Dhyan, one is Raudra Dhyan. You understand? So, thodu serious thai jai. So, existence was there before this birth and will be taking birth, meaning rebirth, till the soul gets liberated. So the fifth pad, liberation, is possible. You just don't need to be in this cycle of birth and rebirth. Understand? So beautifully we can see that by using the means of inference, the Guru has said, how do you account for this type of tendencies and the degree of their intensities from birth, since birth, at birth, not taught, nothing happened, nothing occurred. Some have a fear of water. શું કહેવાય એને? હાઇડ્રોફોબિયા. ફોબિયા એટલે હાઇડ્રો એટલે વોટર. હાઇડ્રોજન પરથી આવ્યું હશે. હા તો વોટર. સો વોટરનું ફિયર. વોટરને જુએ ને ભાગે. કેટલાક વોટરને જુએ ને કપડાં કાઢે. ક્યાંય બી નલમાંથી પાણી પડતું હોય ને તો સંજુ સ્ટાર્ટ્સ રિમૂવિંગ હિઝ ક્લોથ્સ. હું ઓલવેઝ કહું તું કાં તો આગલા ભાવમાં બફેલો કે માછલી બન્યો હશે. You stayed in water, you loved water, you see water and wow. And we see water and go, oh no. So at least I had that phobia for 40 years or more, 2009 સુધી. 43 years, yeah, 43 years. And I always convinced myself, I don't enjoy water, nothing else. But once I had time to introspect, I said, Salu, fear to change. I know it's not because of any thinking or any incident of this birth, but somewhere previous birth, some accident, some death occurred due to water and that fear, something. But with Param Kripadevi in my life, I cannot die with this fear. I've lived with this fear, that is another thing. I cannot die with this fear, I need to do something. So in 2009, I think, right? 2009. I said, let me learn swimming. Of course, feeling very embarrassed. 43 વાળાને બહુ ટાઈમ લાગે અને એ બી MA ગોલ્ડ મેડલિસ્ટ PhD હોય. He'll take days to learn swimming. Sidhu ne બધા they learnt in one day, but the more you use, when you don't have to use, more. And the rest is history. So let's sing.
क्रोधादितरतं यथा सर्पादिक नीमाय पूर्वजन्म संस्कार ते जीव नित्य त्यात्या